Connor, what have you been playing?
A number.
Yeah.
A number of games. I'll go with the two that I'll kind of just touch on lightly. I played Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, where I started playing it. I'm about 9 hours in. I wish I'd played more of that game because it's amazing. Tavin was right when he was saying you should play this game. It should be a high priority game. It feels incredibly fun to play. I had just gotten
too little, too late, Connor.
Not enough.
It's your fault. If you had bought the game 6 months ago, that studio would still be alive.
Too little, too late.
You're right. I'm sorry, guys.
It's all on your shoulders that Ubisoft is a failing company.
Yeah, but at least I'm giving it its due credit now, which is that it has a lot more depth to the just what many of these games, these like roguelike kind of games, would just be, press square, to attack. And that feels good, but in this one, it actually introduces combos and launching tactics and, dodging backwards to retaliate with a counterattack.
Almost plays like a fighting game.
Yeah, it does. It's very similar in that way. And it has, of course, button combos that you press, which a lot of those games also have that, but it's really the fact that you're able to make use of movement a lot more while also taking part in some amazing exploration. I mean, it's kind of in the old... It's a roguelike, right?
Metroidvania,
yeah. Yes.
Metroidvania. I was going to say, you said roguelike, and I was going to cut you off, but...
Wrong way. But the Metroidvanias, they can kind of get samey, and you don't really feel engaged to interact with the world besides just naturally going through it. With Prince of Persia, I want to explore every single bit I can. I would go into certain areas. I didn't know if that's where the plot wanted me to go right then, but I would say screw the main plot if that wasn't the case, because I want to go explore Fungal Forest or the gutter or whatnot.
Yeah.
And it can be kind of annoying because you'll go through these long segments and you'll reach a point where you can't go any further. But you do have a fast travel mechanic in there, so kind of offsets
They've improved the fast travel since launch. At launch, there were only specific places you could fast travel. Now I believe it's the walk trees are all fast. They're all fast travel points. Or
it should be, yeah.
Or you could just fast travel to set fast travel points. Now I forget.
Yeah, I can't. I should be able to remember, but I can't.
Well, it used to be you could only fast travel to and from certain.
They had
points.
fast travel stations, and you can only do it from there. But they have since updated it now. Walks. I think you can just use them to then travel to the fast travel.
I think
stations.
so. That's what.
Is how it works, because the you don't throw those away because they're like integral to design, tactics. But continue.
But yeah, narrative, it's whatever.
Weakest part of the game.
I could tell.
It is indeed, yeah.
Especially the writing. The main character is not very likable, which thankfully the game doesn't really.
You think so? I like him.
From the early parts of the game,
Sargon.
he just seems like kind of more of a whiner than he should be.
He's a little whiny.
Yeah.
He is a little whiny.
With the kind of character that he is, and he's portrayed as.
I'll tell you right now, if that part of the game, character and narrative, just hit a little better, that's a 10 out of 10 video game right there.
I can imagine, because, like I said, I'm not as far as I would want to be in the game, but even without getting a lot of the, I recently got the dash. There's a dash that you can unlock. Yeah, that was a dash. But there's clearly other things, such as like time manipulation shit. And I haven't gotten to that yet, so I can only expect it to raise higher in my mind. But even from the 9 hours I played of this 28-hour game, I really want to sink my teeth into it more.
So bold, too.
It is.
Like, in presentation, art style, all those things.
Got lots of style, too. Yeah. Especially with the boss fights.
It's got a lot of attitude.
Yes.
That game. Mm-hmm. And I love it.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, I started playing Astrobot. Astrobot, it's, when you look at that game, with how everyone was talking about it, it's a fun 3D platformer that's fun for all ages with good level design, amazing level design. Yeah, that's true. It's not my cup of tea of a game in the sense of I'm going to hold it as one of the best, but it's easily understandable why people think that way, because it just feels like Prince of Persia, fun to play. But it's also not really demanding a lot of you, so it's that casual feel that not every game has. And those that do have it can kind of get boring after a while, but the amazing level design and the collectibles that you get make it worth playing more and more and more. That's a game I played the least of, which, in the context of it being a shorter game, I played it. I probably played more of it, probably equivalent to probably like Prince of Persia, maybe. I completed the first set of worlds.
I think you've done more Prince of Persia, because Prince of Persia is probably about 25 hours long.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty short game.
Prince of Persia? Remember Prince? I mean, most Metroidvanias, I feel, only reach about a dozen hours.
By that standard, it's longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a long game. It's just longer than you would think it is. But Astrobot, if you want to have a good fun time, even if you're not a kid, go play that. Not really much I can say.
Do you think you're going to prioritize it enough to beat it before the end of the year?
Probably, yeah, because it's easy, it's fun, it's short. So
I don't expect you. I mean, maybe you'll 100% it. I don't expect you to, but like.
But I can understand wanting to 100% it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fun in doing
it's so
that.
rewarding. Yeah, that's a game where like
Connor's 4th platinum.
Probably there's no way he'll go and get all the dumb little side things you got. Like take a picture of Laura Croft and Nathan Drake at the same time. What was I saying? Fuck. That's a game where like every 5 minutes it feels like you're opening up a Christmas present. And yeah, it's really, really good. How do you feel about the music in that game?
It's fun and nice and quirky. Not quirky, but catchy. It's, I can't say that I was like particularly amazed by it. Mm-hmm. Those games kind of can, not sound samey. No, yeah, they can kind of sound samey, but they're all trying to get the same intended effect, which is to cheer you up and, make you feel happy, which it does do that. So it's a very effective soundtrack. It's just not one I would hold as like a standard of what soundtrack should be like within that genre of gaming and within gaming in general. But most games, you shouldn't expect that of any aspect of it. And, Astrobot, I'll play more of it. I'll just say that. But
what else you got?
Unicorn Overlord. That's the game I played the most of.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I really liked this game a lot. If I were to rank it, I'm debating about what I like more, Unicorn Overlord or Astrobot. But Astrobot's an objectively better game. That aside, though, Unicorn Overlord, it gives me that Fire Emblem itch that I have been lacking for quite some time now. It gives you really well-designed party members that are interesting to gather, maybe not so interesting to interact with after you get them. But and not the best story, not the most interesting story. It might do something to make me more invested.
It's a little basic story.
Okay, well, it's probably not going to get better than I think it's going to get. But the gameplay's super fun. It's a bit easy, so I had to hike it up to the hard difficulty, which even then, it's still kind of easy. But that aside, it's fun to build out your units. It's fun to play around with who's exactly making them making up each formation, because it is. I'll start with my biggest criticism, right? Because the characters themselves, as I just said, don't have a lot of attention put onto them, and I feel like that's because they put too many characters in the game, and it has a mechanic. There's a lot, which is weird because it has a mechanic baked into it where you hire mercenaries to pad out your formations, and it seems like you're just. You were doing that so that you could have a couple of strong characters and then just have most of your basic units be nameless guys that you have a level of customization to, which Tavin walked in on me, customizing the mercs that you can hire, and I was being very particular with them. I like that feature. It gives you, once again, that little personality of each of your formation
but there's
structures.
So many characters that it's just why are you wasting your time with this?
I can count on one hand the amount of mercenaries I actually hired in that game.
And it's only going to be in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
because clearly at a certain point you're just going to have entire teams loaded out with characters.
You unlock characters faster than you unlock squads or whatever the term is for the little groupings of them. Like you'll quickly max out the number of characters you can bring into battle with you, and so it's just like why even be able to hire mercenaries?
Yeah.
Well, no, so in doing that, so you that makes that for me that encourages me to then. Raise my renown level to then be able to add more people to my squad, to then be able to add more squads to each fight, to then be able to fill out all my spaces. That's kind of what it does for me.
Yes, but then they have so many characters. Why even have this higher mercenary thing? Because I imagine there's more characters than there will be maximum slots.
I don't know about that.
There are.
There is.
It gives you the option to pick who you want to play with, because like not all of them are necessary. So like some of them also repeat roles. Like I want to say there's only 2 or 3 classes in the game, or there might be 4. Only 4 classes in the entire game that only have one character in that class. Like there's a couple of them that are like unique classes to that character, and. It's like, okay, you can if you're not vibing with this character that's of this class, you can then hire a mercenary of that same type and be like, oh, maybe you can make your own little your own
makes sense.
headcanon about it, right? So like if you don't like this certain character, like I can tell you there's a few characters that I just do not vibe with on the top. Like I was only having my favorite units be in units together, and I got my own little headcanon for like why these people are in the same unit together, and I was like really into the role playing part of it. I was very much enjoying my time with that game.
Yeah, I think the I'm sure you're already experiencing this, Connor, because I believe you're actually further than I got now. The wide variety of characters and character classes, and how you can mix and match them all, kind of gave me decision paralysis, because it felt like, and then when you match that with the relationship bonding building mechanics, it made me feel like I was always doing something wrong, even though I was doing what was clearly the most optimal way to build my squads and so forth. So it also made me feel like at some point I'm going to have to start building squads that mechanically don't function well together in order to expand on relationships with them, and I don't like that. Like I wish there was a home base that I could then go and talk to my people
to get their rapport up.
Yeah.
Did you get to the point where you were in a town and you could have meals with your team in order to expand your
I didn't have that. No.
I'm assuming because that's what it allows for it.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
You don't need to have them in the same squad to get rapport with them. You just need those meals, and it does it a lot too. And it's just a money thing.
Okay.
So as long as you have money, you can keep doing it.
All right. Well, I remember money coming by.
Money is like very plentiful in that game too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Very.
Yeah, because I got the like. I do like the like waging war and like clearing the map out and assigning squad mates to towns to guard it and giving them gifts. Like I liked all of that. I just wish there was home base that we could all confide in and talk to, a la like a BioWare game or Three Houses.
Yeah. Who makes Fire Emblem again? It's not. I know Nintendo's publishes
Nintendo arm of something.
Fuck! I cannot believe I can't remember.
And while you're looking that up, that team knows how to add a big cast of characters, and put work into making you care about them through their conversations. Obviously, we think of Three Houses,
Intelligent Systems.
Intelligent Systems. I would never have guessed that.
Aptly named.
Very. Three Houses has a lot of dialogue between your party members and whatnot. So I don't expect other games to do that, but I do expect them to kind of go the route of Awakening and Fates, where it's just text, but they have a lot of writing that's put into making you care about these characters. And I feel like they would have been able to do that more while still having a large cast of characters if they just shrunk down how many people you're getting. Like I've already encountered, I got I want to say 3 warriors in that class, and I have one of other unit. I have one shaman. I have 3 wizards, 1 witch and 1 wizard, and I was like, well, I want more variety and more units of these types, but I'm getting the same exact ones in the form of warriors and knights. Knight was the other one. So the classes themselves are very fun because going back into the formation of the units, playing around with them and doing that on the fly to make encounters with other enemies go smoother is very fun, and it keeps that dynamic at level where many of these games, and this game easily can fall into the trap of it. I was experiencing it when the difficulty was lower, that you can just put your units against anybody, and even if you don't kill them, you're going to whittle them down and be in a position where you're going to be completely fine.
I felt like it was ramping up. I agree it was easy in the early hours, but where I stopped is where it started to be like, oh, hey, you kind of have to start paying attention.
It did, yes. Yeah. And that's kind of wanted to play more of it because I feel like that would increase even more so. Bill, you would know more than anyone else. Does it get more?
So I was gonna say, Tavin, from what I heard you saying about how you felt like you were doing the wrong thing, even though you felt it was the most optimal thing. One thing you can do in the kind of how you kind of preview how this match is gonna go, like when you encounter an enemy, right? With a certain unit, you can move your people around on different rows, and then sometimes that'll change the outcome for how that'll end up.
Yes. So I was doing that, but my specific point is because once you enter a battle, you can't move. You can move units around within their squad, but you can't move characters to different units.
No. Well, yeah, you'd have to be I forget what it's called, re-garrisoned or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, and my thing with that is like it's too. There's too. I felt there was just too much to manage. And that's optimal for some players. For me, it's a turnoff because I end up spending more time in menus than I would like. And I'm not someone who's like against being in menus. I've played tactical RPGs before. I've played CRPG. I've played turn-based RPGs. All of these things. So a lot of menu time, right?
Right.
But here, I just felt like it was so much, and like entering a battle, not knowing what was next. And granted, that's kind of the like risk reward of that. But then it like also felt like, okay, every squad needs to have a cavalry character so that they can actually get where they need to go at a reasonable pace of time, right? So that limits a splat. I feel like your main character works best with these 3 other characters, so you always have them with you, type thing. Like but at the same time, I understand the meals thing comes later, but like at the same time, it was like, okay, but like I want to get to know X character who's not in my main squad. I want to get to know them better, but to do that, I have to compromise the integrity of my squad that I like.
The tavern thing, I will say, is accessible early. Like it's
okay.
It is very early. Yeah.
And again, admittedly, I didn't get very deep into the game. That I got less than double digit, right? Like or maybe just at double digits.
It must have been less than.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe,
Yeah. It was around that.
I
want to say 9 to 12 hour mark, somewhere around there.
I was gonna add on another part of like, I'm not like that into menus per se, but the one of my favorite parts of that game was like you setting up your units,
yes,
like abilities and like how what you want them to target, what order you want everything to go in, and then making use of like the other synergies of your other characters' abilities in that unit, and how you can make little synergies within their own abilities and like add on extra passive or active points, or put on like specific items on characters. And it's just super satisfying whenever it all turns out like perfect.
It gives you a lot of cool control over those things. I'm in agreement with you. I was playing around with the menus a lot just for those tactics, because the moment it was like, hey, you can activate this ability when to focus enemies that are low health, and it heals your unit, because this move, the main move that your character has, heals people if they kill them, and you can make it trigger on enemies who are low health, because rather than something like Fire Emblem, everything goes automatically, which is very cool when you play with those systems. It works in tandem very well, to the point where it
really makes you feel more like a general,
Yeah, it makes these games feel like they have different identity than something like Three Houses. My, if you couldn't tell, experience with tactical RPGs isn't the highest, but they all kind of follow a similar format.
One genius thing that I think Three Houses also does, going back to the number of characters, is Three Houses has a lot of characters, but they quickly focus in and say, okay, but these are your guys. Focus on these guys. But they also give you plenty of game time to be like, oh, but still branch out and talk to other people, and you have the ability to recruit who you want if you find yourself liking them. But then you hit a certain point where they go, all right, no more. All these characters are away. Now you've just got these guys. That's all you got. You can't do anything else.
Hope they don't die.
Hope they don't die.
Until you go on New Game Plus and recruit everyone.
Right. Yeah, and you have the stats to recruit everyone. How does that work in big battles? They just get like random.
They get random like warrior number 1 with like a whatever name, right? Instead of
a named character that you care about. That makes sense. God, that game is smart.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I think Unicorn Overlord is a quality game. I'm the lowest on it here, clearly, but like I also think like I think if you're into those games, if you're into that genre, or if you're looking to scratch that Fire Emblem itch, I think it's a quality title to do that. But I think if you're someone like us who tries to play as many games as they can in a variety of different genres and stay up to date on all these things, I don't think it's a must play for this year.
I would jump to either Three Houses or Fire Emblem Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.